I recently bought 1 whole kilogram of coffee beans. That's a lot. I figured since I drink that particular coffee bean more than the rest, I may as well just buy a whole kilo rather than 4 packets of 250 grams. I know it's fresher to buy them in smaller packs, but it's just too much trouble. I can't be asked to keep ordering. So I did what I've never done before. I ordered 1 kilo of my favorite beans. This is in addition to the other beans I drink. I bought smaller packets for those. And then, of course, it's an entire rabbit hole because once you buy a kilo of beans, then you have to figure out how am I going to keep said beans fresh for an entire month, which is about how long it takes to finish a kilo to 2 kilos of coffee beans in my household. I have attempted using large Ziploc bags. That works. That means you leave the coffee beans in its original packaging, which is a resealable thing, but then you put it into a Ziploc bag for additional protection from the air, because as we know, or you may not know, but air is not a friend of coffee beans, right? When they come in contact with air, your beans lose their freshness, it oxidizes, that sort of thing is science. So the best way to keep them fresh is in a airtight environment. But I ended up going on to the usual online shopping malls to look for a container for my new beans. Yeah. I saw one that sucked out the air when you closed it and then pressed the button. I know, it's insane. It's from a brand called Fellow. It's called the Atmos. And it's sold out in a lot of places. So I'm not the only one who's thinking of buying something like this for their coffee beans. And apparently it's one of the best. I guess you could buy a regular... What do you need to buy? Tupperware, yeah. But this one can suck out the air. Every time you open it and then you close it, right? It can make a little mini vacuum inside. That's quite amazing. The things you do to preserve your coffee bean freshness. But yeah, it crossed my mind. I'm still looking. It seems like a lot of trouble to store beans, but if you're buying a kilo every month and you've got random other packets of coffee beans lying around, I suppose a good storage container is not a bad idea. It is my one luxury. You have to understand. I don't have that many expensive hobbies. I have a lot of camera gear and all that, but that's work. So you can't call it an expensive hobby, even though I do have an interest in it. But from a personal standpoint, or bicycles too, but I stopped buying bicycles, so that doesn't count anymore. Yeah, my last bicycle was years ago. But yes, my only indulgence, I think, right now are my coffee beans. I don't even buy the really preciously expensive ones, like $50 for 250 grams, that sort of thing. I've tried those before, but I don't buy them regularly. I mean, I'm not swimming in money. Yeah. But I still consider them a luxury because this is not a cheap drink. It's still way cheaper than drinking at a coffee shop, of course, but the vibe won't be the same. And if you enjoy going to a coffee shop to drink, I'm not talking about kopitiam, I'm talking about coffee shop like the cafes, then more power to you, that's your thing. But I go sometimes, usually get an espresso, but other than that, I've been brewing at home, and I enjoy the process as much as I enjoy drinking. So it is my little indulgence. I remember there was, I think it was this actor who was being interviewed by that CNN host. Again, the names escape me. And the actor was being asked, what's your biggest luxury? What do you really dream of and what you enjoy about your life? And he said, my coffee. And the interviewer said, surely it should be more than that, like sports cars or fancy houses or a private jet. And he's like, I play a minor character in a sitcom. You know that, right? And I think it's interesting to see it from that perspective, because most of us are not like swimming in money, and we all have little luxuries in life, and for the ultra rich, buying a new car may be their little hobby. Collecting, super expensive watches may be a hobby and an indulgence that someone that's very wealthy can do. But most of us regular Joes have more regular luxuries, and nice ass coffee is my luxury. Yeah. And occasionally buying cod. Yeah, I buy cod. Fancy fish. Because growing up, Mom didn't really buy expensive fish very often because she was a frugal mom. And when I had my own money and a family to feed, I decided that I was going to spend a little bit more and buy nice fish sometimes. So that's my other indulgence. That one less often, but coffee is a daily occurrence, 3 times a day. So yeah, we do go through a lot of coffee, and I really should look into getting a proper container for those beans so that they can stay fresh longer. Ah man, what a rabbit hole, right? Be careful, man. Go into coffee hobby, it's very expensive one. That's why I don't have an espresso machine right now. It never ends. You go into that one, it's another, I've heard of $40,000 setups, okay? Just coffee machine, espresso machine. No joke. Nah, I don't think I like coffee that much to buy $40,000 worth of equipment. There's no space in my kitchen anyway. That reminds me, tomorrow I should buy a cod for dinner. That's what I should do. Fancy fish.